BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all, to BRB UK episode 530 Destiny 2. That's right, it's another week. There's Destiny 2 out. Makes me a happy man. Coleman's disappeared on the video. I have no video if you're watching on YouTube. But Tim does have video, but terrible internet. So It's all basically a little bit of carnage this week.
It's all falling apart.
I got
it
a
is
much
all
taller
falling apart.
microphone.
Don't panic.
Yeah, I look forward to whatever mildly horrible effigy of me you've conjured up from the recesses of the internet, or is it just going to be the store page for the T-shirt with my face on it?
I mean,
I didn't think of that. I was going to use
the Destiny.
There's a guy in a video game I've been playing who appears in it for about a split second, and in that moment I went, Dan, why are you here?
Really? Wow.
Yes. More on that later.
What game? More on that later.
Yeah.
Am I famous? Have I got a doppelganger?
And then, TV spot for said game as well, I spotted today, also has that moment in the advert. So there you go.
Oh. Well,
So are you saying I need to get lawyered up? People have taken my virtual identity and making good
They've
coin.
stolen your face,
Is
Dan.
that what you're saying?
I'm
Is
saying
that
you've got
is that
a Danaganger. Danballganger. Danballganger.
Danballganger. A dangleganger.
A double Danner?
A double dangle.
Sure.
So it's a complete coincidence that I'm not allowed to broadcast my face. I think. Yeah, how suspicious.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out, so we're all having technical issues in some form or another. Dan, his camera, Tim, just general assembly of things,
Internet
behind the scenes,
Tim and computers. I think.
Yeah, Tim and technology in general, and then myself, my microphone decided to just crap out at the last minute. I think it's the cable, and this would all be because I spent hours yesterday prepping everything to make sure that I could save myself some issues today. So every time I actually put some effort into this behind the scenes, it all goes wrong on the day.
Yep. Yeah. Welcome to the world of getting stuff ready ahead of time.
Yeah.
No good deed goes unpunished. Talking of which, Tim, I'm moderately surprised you've managed to extract your face from your VR headset. How's it going? Still loving the world of PSVR 2?
Absolutely loving it. I think after last week, I actually turned on the 120 hertz mode because I didn't realize that was off as standard.
I didn't know your console gamers could see faster than 30 hertz, but
the headset still continues to amaze me. I've an overabundance of games. I'll talk a bit more about one later in the show. The overall impression is still fantastic. I'm still really enjoying the time with it. I played the first couple of hours of Resident Evil Village, and that is amazing. There was a point I was like, I know I'm supposed to be scared of you, dude, but I just want to get closer so I can look at the detail in your beard because your face is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, the opening of that game is really great. It plays really well in PSVR. I've tried out a few other things this week as well, and everything has amazed me. I'm really pleased with it so far, and I just feel a bit overloaded with, I don't know what to play next. I really want to play more Resident Evil. I really want to play more Gran Turismo. And I've got a load of other games I'm really enjoying as well. So, it's been really good so far.
Excellent. And I have heard there's a not inconsiderable proportion of the internet getting far too excited about being able to kind of, sort of, have Lady Dimitrescu, whatever her name is.
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
Dimitrescu.
Yeah, big tall lady. And people are getting a little bit too excited by that.
A lot of people
bit unnerving.
Noticing on that. I have encountered her for the first time. And that's a big lady.
A big problem I have with that game, because it is a great game, don't get me wrong, but when they first showed off the hulking huge vampire woman, a load of people just exploded on the internet about it, don't step on me and all that, that kind of memes and sexualizing and all that kind of stuff. And then because of it, they just leaned into that so much on the advertising before the game came out. And then when you actually finally get to meet her, and then you go through her section, you're like, oh, it's done. We're actually focusing on a bunch of other characters, and she's gone.
Yeah.
Very quite quickly in comparison
Spoiler
to
alert.
how much she's. Oh, I didn't say too much about it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, there are different bosses in that game, and she is the first one.
Yeah, the only downside I've seen so far is apparently there's no achievements when playing like it doesn't unlock things when you're playing the.
It's because you're
the
playing on
VR version
PlayStation,
for
mate.
some reason.
They've got trophies.
Yeah, the trophies and stuff. That's what I meant. You know what I meant.
Herp, derp,
But yeah,
derp,
they
derp, 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 derp.
don't count in VR for some reason. I'm not sure if that's something that will be patched in later, hopefully. But generally, just playing the game, it is fantastic. It's a great experience. In fact, I'd go as far as to say a lot of people said like Half-Life Alyx needs to come. I don't see that happening anytime ever. But I think this is the better equivalent. A lot of people would have said Call of the Mountain, and that's got more physics-based stuff to mess around with, possibly. But this game is the one that makes you go, okay, this is the game you have to buy, even if you don't like horror games. Although in a similar vein, Gran Turismo, I think you need to own, even if you don't like driving games, basically.
Yeah, that's not a horror game.
No, but I'm just saying,
Gran Turismo, not a
even
horror
if you
game.
don't like the genre, they're so good in VR that if you own a PSVR 2 headset, you need to buy both of those games, basically, because they're wholly different experiences when playing in VR.
You can't tell me that Gran Turismo 7 is not a horror game, because I have seen the prices of some of those microtransactions.
Waka waka. Waka waka waka.
Terrifying to me. AAA game,
Yeah.
that much money
Whoa.
on top.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Shame.
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 Shame. Yeah,
Shame.
excellent shame bell.
It's the wrong kind of
it
bell.
doesn't quite have the same gravitas, does it?
No.
Thought there was
There's,
something I was meant to add to the soundboard yesterday. I forgot.
Shame.
I need
Shame.
a shame bell.
Absolutely blows my mind that lady is in Ted Lasso
Yes.
as well. Just blows my mind it's the
Very
same
different.
actress.
She's obviously a
I
very
haven't seen
talented
Game of
actress.
Thrones, but
Have you
I'm
not? Yeah.
assuming
Oh, okay.
that no. I'd be meaning to. It's on my to-do list.
Okay.
I have 7 seasons queued up on the Skybox. I just need to
Yeah.
watch them.
Press play is what you need to do.
Well, I mean, Ted Lasso season 3 is about to come out, and so I want to watch that first.
Mhm,
Oh
mhm.
man, Apple TV has some surprisingly good stuff on it. Actually,
Yeah, and they
it
got-
started off a little bit.
They got the
But it's got
Tetris
some
movie coming up as well, and that
surprisingly
looks
awesome things.
excellent as well.
Oh,
Like, that looks really
I
good.
am very excited. And another, I mean, man, Taron Egerton is doing bank at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He's-
doing very well. Nice chap. He's a nice
Yeah,
chap. Too.
he's a
Taron.
very good actor.
He seems like a nice chap.
I mean, not video game related, but Morning Show also comes out this year, season 3, and I really got into that over lockdown. Good show.
I mean, I am well up for that. The Tetris movie sounds really interesting. It's all about kind of trade relations, and man, I just made that sound really tedious. didn't I? It's
Yeah.
all about trade relations in the Cold War, but actually, it is all about the subterfuge of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
got a
story
really
of
interesting
bringing
story.
Tetris to the Game Boy is a fascinating one in itself.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's cool to see an actual story coming out, a movie coming out of this after so long.
So there we go. I just know that the villain's going to be the S-shaped block. That's what it's going to be. That's a big villain. That he's a toe rag. That S-shaped block. I hate him. A toe rag. Toe rag. Anyway,
What's next?
what's next? I think I will go last in things we've done played
Really?
Ooh, okay.
because I know that Tim is going to be incapable of being
I
short,
can have a little nap.
whereas I can probably edit. I can probably control myself with my Destiny 2 Lightfall speak. So you guys go first, and I'll know how much
Okay.
time
All
I've
right.
got left.
Can I give
All right.
out a quick PSA?
Yep.
Certainly.
Excellent, because
Prostate-specific antigen. I love it. Best antigen there is.
I've been playing another controversial game this
Actually,
week in
diagnostically, it's questionable,
Atomic
but never mind.
Heart, which is
Oh.
the game I was talking about earlier. There is a character who looks a lot like Dan who gets offed by
Hello.
a robot very quickly.
Oh.
What? I'm
I
a
just
bloody red shirt.
I'll probably go into this more in the
It's on brand,
coming weeks, but the reason I wanted to mention it this week is to give a quick PSA. Even though the stats say that this game plays at 1080 at 60 frames a second on your Xbox Series S, I did not find that it played at all well on the Series S. It looked very fuzzy. There is kind of it's got some BioShock influence to it, as you may have like taken a second, just a quick glance at and gone, yep, that's a BioShock looking game.
Yeah.
But instead of Americana stuff, it's all Soviet Russia type stuff.
Yeah.
And it has a kind of opening as it's sailing through this world. And when it was doing that, I felt so horribly travel sick because the frame rate kept dipping and raising back up again and dipping down again. And I just could not stick with it. And I got to a point where it was easier for me to tether my Steam Deck to my phone for 5G and stream it through Game Pass while I wait for it to install on my PC instead. Because yeah, playing on the Series S was not good.
So was it just because obviously, I mean, a lot of modern consoles do the whole kind of dynamic resolution thing where they target a particular frame rate. I mean, is it just that it really drops resolution, or is it that the frame rate goes all over the place as well?
It's both. I think to get things working, and there's some kind of stuff on in the news lately to do with the Xbox Series S and optimization in comparison to the slowing game development down for certain games on platforms, which we'll talk about in a bit. And I think with the Series S, where they've had to kind of lower the resolution enough for it to work on there and hit 60 frames a second, it's just not good. It reminds me of if you remember when I was covering Sonic Frontier on the Switch, it's playable, but why would you want to play it like that? Because it doesn't look good. But apparently there are some technical issues, which I don't know if I haven't gone back to it since the first couple of days of launch. So I don't know if they've patched the issues out, but I saw Digital Foundry did a thing on it, and they were having problems with frame rates and what have it on the S as well. So what is described as and what is actually available is not quite the same.
Yeah, that's a shame because that was one of my ones to watch, but I've downloaded it onto my S and haven't played it yet because I've just been too busy with VR. So yeah, hopefully by the time I get around to playing it, they'll have actually patched it and sorted it out a bit, maybe. But yeah, that's a shame to hear.
Yeah,
I'd say, I mean, I haven't played Atomic Heart, but that's because personally I feel a bit conflicted by it. And I think that's all I'm really going to say. There's been a lot of stuff written on the internet about it. I'm not going to go into it and how accurate or not it is. And I don't know. I just don't. I don't feel quite all right. And that's not saying you're wrong if you do play it, or that the sun shines out your ear end if you don't. I'm not saying either. My personal choice for me is that it just makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Especially some of the noise around the game.
Yeah, the developers have come out and denied that, but you just don't know really because they deny it either way, basically. So yeah, there's definitely some mixed feelings on that end of things.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the two situations are identical. I'm not saying that, but I've noted it with academic interest, shall we say? I think is probably the best way to put it. The difference in the furore around Atomic Heart versus, say, Hogwarts Legacy, which I think have both got, the development and publishing studio or IP from both of those are kind of do have, there are questionable associations with both. And I think it's just been very interesting seeing how differently social media is mobilized against one versus the other.
They weren't exactly very successful in mobilizing against Hogwarts Legacy when it sold 12 million copies, though. So hey.
Well, this is true.
Well, I think the difference you've got there is one is a £70 full price release that is only is available if you buy it. The other one is being released on Game Pass, so people feel that if you bought, if I'm to guess, if people were to boycott it for whatever reason, people would still play it because it's available on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Those are the two different things there, and also maybe the issues surrounding Hogwarts Legacy are a bigger buzz topic than the issues surrounding Atomic Heart. And also, again, like people know more about the Hogwarts Legacy stuff than they do about the Atomic Heart stuff.
But yeah.
No, I know, but I mean specifically to arguing on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, and just to be absolutely clear, jumping in before the internet leaps on me, I'm not saying the wider environment around both of these titles is equivalent. I am not saying that at all. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. I know it's not apples to apples. I just found it from a kind of like I said, purely from an academic point of view. I think it's very interesting seeing the difference in popular reaction to both of these
Yeah,
titles,
fine.
certainly
Well,
in the internet circles.
Let's draw a line under that because we've got a lot of games to talk about this week. So yeah,
We
let's
certainly
move on.
do. Look, I made Tim feel uncomfortable enough to move on. Look at that.
Well, not entirely. It's just we've got a lot
Result.
to get through, and I want to hear about Coleman's game
Yeah,
that
right.
he's been playing as well. So
Yeah, I do. I want to hear about Like a Dragon Ishin as well. Tell me.
We'll table Atomic Heart because I want to play it some more. But I
Yeah.
will say I will leave it on this. That game is incredibly horny.
Horny?
yeah,
Yes,
all horny robots.
like
Really?
uncomfortably.
What, with the lady robots? With the fembots?
so- Imagine playing something that looks like it could be a BioShock game, but instead of Americana,
Right.
Soviet, USSR type stuff.
Yeah.
And imagine when you go up to the vending machine, it doesn't start screaming to you about value. Instead, it just starts talking about inserting yourself
Oh,
inside
right,
it
yeah.
and
I saw some
other
stuff about that. Yeah.
type things. But
What
also,
kind of deposit you're leaving?
and there's other things as well that pop up. Like I know one scene that's being posted around a lot is these kind of gigantic pistons that clearly look like something being done to a body part.
Right.
It's
I mean, to
Okay.
be fair, there is a Destiny raid that
Dripping
has
wall
pistons shooting
proboscis.
out of walls that do look like
I
you know.
see. I remember this
If a
discussion.
dragon was bad, put it that way, like a naughty dragon.
I remember you talking about this. I remember you showing me in game. This just trumps it completely.
To
I'll
really?
I'll
To a whole
find
new level.
I'll find a GIF
Really?
or something to send you later.
Wow.
Oh,
It's
okay.
so bad.
I look
but
forward
yeah.
to that.
Oh, if I stick with it, I'll talk about it more later.
Okay,
The
fair
big one that
enough.
I want to talk about this week is Like a Dragon Ishin, which, if you are not aware, the series of Yakuza has now been renamed to Like a Dragon, which I think is the titling in Japan
Like a
anyway.
dragon,
But
Yeah.
it makes sense to
search
do
for
so
the very
because
first
uh,
time.
so I'm not so familiar with the Yakuza series, not for lack of trying, but our friend Ed, who's been on the show many times, is and has
Hello, Ed.
explained to me that further on in those sequels, it is less about Yakuza, so it makes sense to not call it Yakuza anymore anyway
Right.
and rebrand it.
Okay.
Now, Like a Dragon Ishin, if I have this correct, is so it's not a prequel or a type of game like that. It's a completely different story that
Yeah.
stars the same characters that show up in the various different Like a Dragon and Yakuza games. And also, this is a game that came out on the PlayStation 3 in Japan and nowhere else. So
Yeah.
they've
Wow.
remade it,
Okay.
stuck it on the PS5 and the I think it's on Xbox Series X as well. I'm playing this on PC because it is Steam Deck
Oh.
verified and plays
Ooh.
very well on Steam Deck. Yes.
Excellent.
And it's this kind of old samurai times of Japan, which follows characters and a real life story that actually happened, but messes it around in a kind of Yakuza-y Like a Dragon way. And I've seen reviews of this game where people kind of went into the same thing of God of War Ragnarok, where they went, hey, before you, and even we said it, hey, before you play this game, maybe have a decent, a small understanding of Norse mythology outside
Yeah.
of Marvel comic books and films. And I've
What,
heard
you're
a
saying
similar
that's
thing
not-
with
that's
this
not
one.
The real story.
And I've heard a
What?
similar thing with Ishin, where people have said, hey, before you play this, you should read up on, the actual story of this character and this point in time in Japan. I did none of that. I'm just playing it, and it's a fun game. And
Samurai, basically, is what you're doing.
yeah, pretty much.
Good work.
But the funny thing
good
is,
for you, mate.
I didn't realize. I thought this was going to be a different type of game to the Yakuza games because I've tried a couple of them now, and I do want to go back and play through them all. And the reason I jumped into this one being a new title is because the story has no bearing on the other Yakuza games
Yeah,
whatsoever. So yeah, I thought it'd be fun. And I thought it was a different type of thing. I thought this was going to be all kind of hack and slash rather than run around an open area RPG doing little quests and side quests and things while doing the main story and bonkers things happen. No, it's exactly that. It's just
Yeah.
ye olde times of samurais and not running around like Akihabara. And it's so bizarre because on one hand you've got this, everyone's wearing all the komodos and the samurai swords and all this kind of stuff. And then on another hand, you do have the karaoke mini game. You do have bonkers things like naked bathhouse fights and weird. Yeah, quite early on, once you've done the tutorial.
Just randomly, just naked dudes going at it with samurai swords.
Well, there was a mission. It's quite early on, so not too much of a spoiler to go into it. But there's kind of a information seller that you're trying to get some info on someone through. So you have to meet them in a bathhouse, which like a steam room. You go in, you're naked, and everything's covered up by steam in the right areas. And then someone else barges
How
in there,
convenient.
and then you get into a fight, but it's a naked fist fight with a man with steam in the right places and to
right.
cover your modesty. And
Steam
it was
in
hilarious.
all the
And I was
right
playing this
places.
for a while. And I got into it and I was like doing my combos and stuff. And then at some point I went, hold on, I'm sat on a tube in public having
with sweaty, steamy dudes.
having a naked man fist fight. But yes,
Steaming all the right places.
there is bizarre things like that.
Yeah, I played this in preview and I really liked the combat. I didn't get a feel for like how much open world stuff, and there wasn't too much of the mini games and stuff. But does that feel like a similar balance to what it was from what you know from the Yakuza games as well?
Yeah, from what I'm getting
Yeah.
at this, because I think I played about 6 or 8 hours of Zero initially. So that's the most I have of that game. And then the other one's been like previews, played little bits here and there.
Yeah.
But with this, it's basically the same kind of thing. Small open area. You've got some time to waste before you do your main mission. And in that time, you can run around and do all these little odd jobs and things and do mini missions. And that could be something as simple as just talking to someone or handing someone an item that they want, or it could be fighting a bunch of people to help them. There's also situations where people just come out the woodwork, like maybe a bunch of drunk Ronin come out of a bar and start aggro with you, so you can fight them all. But the interesting thing about this in comparison to the previous Yakuza game that I played was that kind of thing would happen, but it would result in you having a fist fight and doing various different martial arts styles, and also being able to like grab the scenery and beat people up with it. So you could grab like a bike or a bench or something. This time round, you've got that same hand-to-hand combat and learning different styles and maneuvers and things, but you also have a katana or a samurai sword to fight with. You have a gun, which is weird. Just Yakuza with a gun.
Technically correct for the period, though.
It is. Guns were big into fashion at the time, and they were preferred because there wasn't all this kind of discipline training that you had with a sword. You could just have a gun, point it, bang, dead. But then there's a fourth method of fighting as well, which is a gun in one hand and a sword in the other. And you can just hack away at people, and you do.
Nice.
But when you do that, you don't have a hand to block, so everything's reliant on parries. So you can hack away with a sword, and then you can do this kind of flourish where you spin around with a sword to slice anyone in close proximity to you, but you also fire out loads of bullets in a kind of scatter around you. So that will also do great damage. And that's a fun one to play, but very hard to master, I found.
Okay. That's the one I tried in the demo.
What I found in certain situations, either if there was a bunch of people in an alleyway that I just couldn't be bothered to fight because I was trying to get to the next mission, or I found someone particularly difficult, I do a lot of just pull out a gun and just keep shooting, and I just feel like I'm cheating at the game. Like,
Nice.
How am I allowed to do this? I'm just going bam, 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 roll out the way, bam, 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 roll out the way. So I might need to turn the difficulty up a bit because I'm just murking
stop
everyone
washing out
with
with
a
the gun.
Yeah,
There did seem
Samurai
to be
with
a
a
kind
gun
of
is-
tactical element to the combat in which you kind of you're building up your special moves and stuff as well. No, like I quite liked the little taste of the combat
Yes.
that I got. Does that seem to still carry on and be good? And what's the kind of upgrade and progression like in terms of the combat and stuff?
Yeah, so it's obviously different fighting styles are going to have different effects against different types of enemies. For instance, like very early on in your kind of tutorial levels, you're trying to run through a building while various different enemies are coming at you. So it's good to switch on the fly. Like the gun, I was trying so hard not to use it, but it came to a point of there was just someone holding a barrel and they would swing it at you if you got near them. But everything that I tried to attack them with, and I was trying to do everything kind of hand-to-hand combat at that time, and anything that I attacked them with had no effect, so I just had to pull out the gun and shoot them. So there is switching around for different various enemies and things. The way progression works is there's you unlock orbs for the different styles that you use. So red, blue,
Right.
yellow, green, I think. And then those can be used on the specific styles. So if you use the gun and you earn these yellow gun tokens, then there's kind of like a what do you call them? Like an upgrade table, but it's
Yeah.
a circular disc
Tree
type thing, and
thing.
you're
Okay.
picking different. Upgrade tree, I guess, and you're picking the various different things that you want to unlock, which kind of branch out different ways, and you spec each fighting style that way. But there's
Okay.
also these gray tokens that get unlocked. I think they're just through like combos and things along the way, and those can be used on any of the four. So if you're finding yourself particularly lacking in one skill area, you can just devote all
that's good.
those gray tokens to try and boost your way up, because you will need to have kind of an even balance as you're going through the game further on.
So one of the things you alluded to this kind of early on, that this was a game that's originally released, kind of 10 years ago, but in Japan only.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any aspects of it where it's showing its age a bit, or have they really kind of rebuilt it from the ground up, or are there some bits you're going,
From what I understand, this is a complete rebuild. I didn't look into it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I should have, really, in retrospect, I should have had a look at some of the PlayStation 3 footage and things, or comparisons like I did with Crisis Core. But I've been enjoying playing the game, so I didn't bother to
Shame on you, Coleman, for enjoying yourself. Shame.
Yeah. But like I say,
Shame on you.
this has become my new kind
How
of
very dare you.
go-to handheld game at the moment because of the Steam Deck. And like, I think every single one of the Yakuza Like a Dragon games now are verified on Steam Deck, or if they're not, they all play well on the Steam Deck. This plays very well on the Steam Deck. So I really like this.
There's
go-to
also a
at the moment.
demo. There's
Very
a
good.
demo of this out on console, so people can try it for themselves.
Yes.
I'm guessing there's a demo on PC as well. Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
there's a Steam demo.
perhaps try it for yourself. It's definitely worth trying. As you say, it's a good point to jump into the Like a Dragon series because it is separate, and you might not get the kind of joy that some people will get for having a depth of knowledge of the series because you won't really know the characters that are coming up and stuff. But it sounds like it's an enjoyable game in and of itself, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a must-have for anyone who's a Yakuza fan, obviously. But again, because there is no connection in story, anyone could pick this
Yeah.
up and get into it. You're just not going to have that moment of,
Oh,
a
it's
character
Bob.
from the series
or
is going to
whatever.
appear as a
Yeah.
different character, and you're not going to go, oh, it's him, spiky head
Yeah.
man from Like a Dragon. You know,
Actually,
it's,
that well-known Japanese name, Bob. Thanks for that, Tim. Bob.
his name is Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, really good.
Oh, black
Everyone,
Blackadder.
I will definitely recommend this. And as well, I tend to find the Yakuza games, through spotting them on stores and stuff, they do tend to go down on offers and specials and stuff pretty damn quickly as well. So if you're holding out for it, and you see it on a sale somewhere, definitely pick it up. But I could recommend this at full price totally.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Good game. Keep you busy.
Ooh. Yeah.
Keep you off the streets.
Keep
That's
you
what
off
it'll do.
streets, it will. Go on then, Tim.
Keep off street. Go on, Tim.
Right. So I spoke about it
Your turn.
a bit last week, so I'll try and cover it fairly quickly. But I have been playing a bit more of
Good.
Zombieland Headshot Fever Reloaded on the PSVR 2. Again,
And?
I'll just preface it with the fact that I did receive a review code of that, so take that with a pinch of salt if you like. But generally, yeah, really continuing to love the game. I really enjoyed it. I've now unlocked all the levels. I haven't quite faced off against the final boss yet, but you can do like practice runs. And there's on the last level, this is something that isn't so much a feature of the previous levels, but the last level's got various different paths. So you can do practice runs to find your optimum path to get to that final boss. I have unlocked, I think, not quite all the guns. I think there's a better handgun that I still haven't unlocked. But I've unlocked like the 4 main secondary weapons, of which there's 2 shotguns, an equivalent of like a P90 type thing, and an Uzi. And as you unlock more weapons and as you unlock more perks, it gets easier to go back to the previous levels and get better times in that. The one mechanic I didn't really explain last week was there's the double tapping, right, and if anyone doesn't know, there was a Zombieland double tap movie. It was the name of the second movie, hence the fact that there's a double tap mechanic in it. I did kind of mention that, but I didn't really talk about how it works. Basically, if you're double tapping a zombie in the head, it gives you a bit of what it calls adrenaline, which slows down time and allows you to combo your kills on different zombies. And the more adrenaline you get throughout a level, the more time that knocks off your time at the end of the level, so that it gives you a better time to go through, and you can try and beat some of the target times that it gives you to get through. There's a whole, I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but there's that whole, like, the currency in the game is toilet paper, because toilet paper's worth like lots of money, and that's something that's a joke carried on.
Anyone who's lived through a pandemic knows.
Well, exactly. See, that toilet paper becomes very valuable when there's not much being made anymore.
Sorry, my memory's a little rusty. Did the film come out during lockdown?
Possibly. I think it was just before, though. I saw it. I think I actually watched it in lockdown, so that might be where you saw it as well, which is why your memory might be of that. But I think it was out in the cinema before that, basically. Oh, yeah, not anyway.
I haven't seen it. I just remember it getting really bad reviews, which is why I'm interested in the video game doing. I'm wondering if the video game's going to like outlive the movie, basically.
Well, I quite liked both movies. I thought they were quite funny. The second one probably isn't as good as the first, and the first is very good.
Yeah, I love the first
I still enjoyed the second one. And as I said, there's a lot of the humor and the in jokes from that carry on into the game. They've got a budget Woody Harrelson and a budget equivalent of I think he's Tallahassee is the name of Woody Harrelson's character in the film, in the game. And they've got like budget versions of people doing impressions almost of the characters in the game. It's a game that came out previously on VR. I think it was on Meta originally and possibly on other formats as well. But it's been totally reskinned and remade. I think it's more just of a graphical enhancement, and then they've added stuff in for the triggers and stuff like that works well with PSVR. But it plays really well. It plays, as I said last week, it plays like a light gun game, so it's a bit like more like House of the Dead, I'd say, than Time Crisis possibly. But they're quite quick to get through each level. It's only like a few minutes. It might take you a few attempts to learn the course and get through it quickly, but you're trying to get through each level as quickly as possible. And unlocking the different perks and getting the better weaponry and then upgrading that weaponry helps you get through those levels quicker. So you want to go back to previous levels and get better times and get through them again. It does lend itself well to like replay value. I've actually really enjoyed going back through the levels. Like, I would have thought I might get bored of them. It's actually been quite fun going back through the levels and getting faster times with better equipment and stuff. And yeah, overall, I highly recommend it. Like, anyone that's a fan of old light gun games, it's it's a real good comparison to them. It's something that we've kind of lost in recent years, but it works really well. The graphical style looks really nice in the headset and stuff, and I've really enjoyed the game. So it's also, I would say, it's a good game for people that aren't as familiar with VR. If you're just finding your VR legs, it's a good one to kind of show off to people and stuff, because it kind of gives you all the good points of stuff, but it's got like a mechanic where you're teleporting from one point to the next, but you can do that teleportation. I didn't realize this last week, but I think it goes on eye tracking. So if you're looking at the place
TV dinner,
you can use a joystick to hop there, but otherwise you can just, if you're looking there, you go there, which is good most of the time when you want to get things quickly. It can be a bit bad if you want to collect things and pick things up, or if you're trying to shoot other things in the background and stuff, because as soon as you look there, you go there, and you can do that accidentally quite easily. But generally, yeah, as I said, it's a really good one for people just picking up the headset for the first time. It's a good one to show off to people that haven't played VR before, because you've got that whole, shooting with two guns and looking around and stuff, but it's not massively taxing, and there's no real kind of stuff that's going to give you too much motion sickness and stuff like that. So I think it's a good introductory game to VR as well. But yeah, as I said, Really enjoyed it. I think I've seen enough of the game to review it now, and I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 on our scale as well. So yeah, I've really liked it. So yeah, it's a recommendation.
This week we have a scale of 5.
Yes.
4 out of those 5 things.
Oh, if we're scaling things, then 5 out of 5 for Ishin.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Cool.
5 Colemans out of Tim.
Ooh.
5 eggs out of head. I
Yes.
will say, because last week after I do the editing, I have to find a cover for these podcasts, and I was looking through various different images of Double Tap last week, and they had a kind of lineup of all the characters. And I will say, even though they're caricatures of who they're meant to be, a little cartoony looking, I could definitely tell which one was meant to be Emma Stone, because I wouldn't even if I looked at that without knowing anything about the film, I would have gone Emma Stone. It's very well done.
But also, one thing I noticed that I hadn't noticed before when I was speaking about last week as well, the when you're actually in the general PlayStation menu, and I've noticed this on a couple of other things since, but this was the first one I noticed it on. The actual menu icon when you're in the headset does have some depth
menus.
to it. Basically, like it's got like. There's different layers to the characters, and the Zombieland seems to be coming out of the frame a bit, type of thing. It probably might just be the artwork and the fact that it's got like a 3D thing, but it just there wasn't any enhancements for like the stuff in the on the general home screen and stuff. There wasn't any advancements for that in PSVR 1. It does seem to be the case in PSVR 2. I don't know if it's just the artwork particularly lends itself to it, but I've noticed it on a few other things now as well. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. The fact that looks a bit different in the headset.
I can't believe you actually spoke about menus.
Yeah.
Shut up!
That is.
Shut up!
Yep. Yep.
I didn't gain this reputation for no reason,
classic
Coleman.
Tim. Yeah, exactly. And now I look forward to you. As soon as I can guarantee it, I get 5 words in talking about Destiny 2. Tim's going to be like, boring, I'm bored. I thought I was exceptionally well behaved during the PSVR 2 episode,
Yes.
young man. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I was engaged and
Yes.
I was interested.
Yes.
All right? You can learn something from this, Tim. All right?
And
Just
answering
saying.
one of your questions from last week as well, Dan, there is a company now that are doing prescription lenses for the PSVR 2 already.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I did.
Yeah.
I did say I have nearly a couple of times clicked the highly expensive buy button, but I've resisted so far.
I strongly
I don't think
recommend
my house
it.
is big enough. So yeah, I know you. I know you do. So there we go. So time for me to have my yearly moment in the sun,
Ooh.
where I get to speak about Destiny. But first, what I'm just going to briefly say, one of the things that happened was that they actually shut down Destiny for a day.
Yes.
How did
that
you
was so
cope,
funny.
Dan? How did you cope?
Well, I actually really got into. Well, no, I gave myself a couple of weeks of low Destiny activity just to have a bit of a palate refresh. Really got into Return of Leo Bradin randomly.
Oh,
Great
it's
game.
a great game. Great game.
So good on my massive dick as well.
Yeah.
I only found
Played
out
on
about
the
the
Switch,
Destiny
but-
shutdown because I follow a friend of the show, Sarah Dyer, on Twitter, and I saw what happened there. They accidentally allowed the pre-launch or activated the pre-launch of the update, which meant you couldn't actually play the game because the content wasn't live to go.
What they plan to shut all the servers down for 24 hours before Lightfall launch. So Destiny 2 Lightfall is the penultimate big bit of DLC for the Destiny quote unquote Light and Dark saga. Otherwise, kind of essentially really the original 10-year story arc of what Destiny is. So they're kind of building up to the big grand finale in the world of Destiny. The big bad in the form of the Witness has shown up. The Traveler, who is the big white orb that doesn't do very much, finally did something.
Oh, yeah. I saw in the trailer.
Yeah, he did. He floated up into the sky and was like, Witness, what are you doing? And the Witness was like, stuff. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, well, I have a big beam of light out my face. And the Witness then goes, all right, but I'm not bothered by that. So have some pyramid ships. That's the intro film. I mean, I think, so one of the things is they're kind of really trying to lean into, as they have been for a while, that light and dark aren't inherently good, aren't inherently evil. And, okay.
It's all about
very
bringing
good.
balance to the Force.
It is all about the balance, and too much of one is a bad thing. So is the Traveller good? Is the Witness bad? I mean, the Witness does seem a bit shady, not going to lie. So yeah, but I mean, I think one of the things with Destiny has always been unpicking the plot has been challenging. And one thing Bungie loves to do is set up mysteries.
Right.
Like, ooh, how mysterious this is. Ooh, who are these people really? Ooh, who is this faction? Ooh, there's this secret human planet. And that Lightfall doesn't really square much of that away, to be blunt.
Right.
So the general setup for
That's
Lightfall
because they want to make another
is-
game.
Well,
Yeah.
this is true. The general setup for Lightfall is there's a big showdown between the Witness and the Traveller, and that the Witness has heard about something called the Veil on this hitherto hidden human colony on Neptune. So the basic thing is that there was, before all of the Destiny stuff kicked off, there was like a golden age where the Traveller had come to Earth and given us wonderful technology, leaps and bounds, tripled human lifespans, all of that kind of stuff.
Bringing you back from the dead like a checkpoint.
Absolutely. Handy that, because if you're going to put that in a game.
Yeah.
And there was like a collapse where kind of the darkness showed up to Earth and the Traveller went dormant. And when that collapse happened, a bunch of colony ships flew off. One kind of went off into the bit of the game called the Reef, which is where you see the people with glowy skin.
You got to swim through that to get off the beach that makes you old.
Absolutely.
Good.
A lot of them slightly crash landed a bit on planets they weren't meant to. But then there's one went undetected and landed on Neptune, founded a city called Neomuna, which is where a lot of the campaign happens this time around. So the Witness has heard there's this place called Neomuna. It's got this big MacGuffin on it called the Veil, which is never actually explained in the game. Still don't know what it is. Even Bife, who is like kind of the self-described law daddy of Destiny, he doesn't know what it is.
Does it explain why everything is 80s neon in all the
No.
promotional materials?
No.
Is
I'll
that the
come back.
light?
Hold that thought about 80s neon, because I'm going to come back to that.
Because that does
Okay.
look very good. I have to say, it looks very attractive in
It looks
all the
cool.
trailers and everything I've seen. It looks very cool.
Style it absolutely.
Big eyes and
so have
neon
you got-
lights.
Indeed. So we'll come to that in a minute. So the kind of other thing that there is that the Witness has kind of hench dudettes that he calls his disciples, and we met the first disciple, Rolk, in the previous game, but now Callus, who was the big bad in the first installment of Destiny 2, the Cabal Emperor, has returned as his to put not too fine a point on it, as his gimp. There we go. He is the Witness's
Ah.
gimp.
Bring out the game.
So bring out the gimp. So like
Bring out the gimp.
his loyalist Cabal and you and everyone else, you're fighting out over the Veil in Neomuna. And Neomuna is, as you guys said, this kind of fantastically realized, kind of bright neon, almost like 80s kind of space age city. And they do an incredible job in making that feel very different to anything else in Destiny before. And I got a lot of, unsurprisingly, ODST vibes from it, where it was you've gone from kind of quite open environments to like this kind of quite tight kind of fighting in a city. And they really nail that feel. It's a great atmosphere and a very unique location. Part of this, as well, as you've probably seen in the trailers, is a new set of subclass abilities. So in Destiny, you've got Titans, Warlocks, and Hunters. Titans like punching stuff. Warlocks like wearing big long coats and
And
magic-y
doing floaty
things.
jumps.
And hunters just like to teabag things, basically, is what it comes down to. And each of those have got like a series of subclasses which have different abilities. So they've introduced a new subclass called Strand, which is all meant to be about, kind of plucking out the tapestry of existence and all that kind of moderately metaphysical nonsense. And it's kind of fun, I guess. But they really shoehorn this new ability into the game. So, like, you kind of use it off and on throughout the new campaign, and it's just not as fun as the other ones. And like I was playing through a bit of the campaign with Jamie, Smash Soul, friend of the show, And there are some bits where it forces you to use Strand. And both of us were like, oh, God, we can't wait for it just to stop forcing us to use it because we want to go and use our usual builds.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually do a great job in making you want to use it, I find. And probably because some bits of it are still a bit janky. You know, Destiny is not like Titanfall. It clearly wants to feel a bit like Titanfall with this grappling kind of real vertical movement across levels, but Destiny doesn't feel like it quite nails it. It may get better. I mean, on the bright side, they have really kind of reworked all of the kind of the character build crafting. It feels a lot more satisfying to kind of craft your character now, which is great. And they've put things like, you know, loadouts are now in the game. It's a lot easier to keep track of things. It's a lot more well explained how different perks interact with one another. But yeah, I mean, I want to like Lightfall more than I do.
Oh,
Because it's Destiny.
The one thing that's been communicated to me through memes mainly, and I think I saw Mr. Smashhole talking about it on Twitter as well, but it does seem to be that like they've nailed all the things they're good at nailing at, but the writing particularly seems to be not good. Is that the case from what you've seen as well, or is there?
I mean,
It sounds like you've got more problems.
I don't
with
want
the,
to give any
with the
spoilers.
actual. Yeah, but it sounds like you've got more problems with the mechanics of the game, the new kind of builds and stuff than I've seen most people do. Do you think that's particular to you, or do you think that's a general problem?
I mean, I think a bit of it is so like the Strands, the new subclass isn't great on Titans, and I tend to play a Titan.
Right.
The Warlock and the Hunter stuff looks really fun, and I will give those a go, so I can perhaps give a bit more of a rounded view on these things. I mean, at the end of the day, Destiny's still a great fun game to play. It's just that I mean, a lot of the build crafting stuff with the existing abilities I really like, and they've added new stuff to the existing classes, which breathes a bit of fresh air into them. But I think it's just the fact that you're kind of forced to use this new set of abilities where you've probably, if you're a returning player, kind of got your go-to setup anyway.
Yeah.
So you're wrestling with the new systems because they've completely reworked how all of like the mods work on the guns and the armor, and then you're trying to recreate the build that you felt comfortable with all the time being kind of force-fed Strand, and it just doesn't. And there are some encounters where actually it's easier not to use Strand if you can avoid picking it up, which I think is when I noticed myself trying to avoid having to use it, I thought, have they really nailed this? I mean, the combat's still great. It's still good fun, but I don't. It feels a bit like they've introduced a new subclass because reasons. I'm not going to go too much into. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers. In terms of the plot, I think one of the problems is they never really explain away the big MacGuffin. I think it's a little bit of a bit of a fail, but it almost feels like they're trying a bit too hard to create mystery, and they actually, I think, fumble a couple of really potentially nice, interesting kind of character development moments throughout the story. I mean, it's no secret. Like one of your colleagues is, so you've got Callus, who's the big bad in this expansion, but you're actually allied with his daughter. I'm not going to spoil it. There's more in my mind that could have been done with that relationship. I mean, look, I haven't yet got stuck into the seasonal stuff. The raid's out next week, so I'm sure I'm going to have more to say then. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know whether it's because expectations are high or whether or not everyone's getting ready for like the big send-off that's going to be next year. But rather than kind of feeling like it's building towards a big conclusion, it almost feels like it's asking more questions now.
Right.
And there was no real, to me, satisfying payoff in it.
Do you think that might be something that they can?
There's a long seasonal model of content
with what they've built, though. Like, do you think it's something they could tie neater bows on now that they've actually introduced some things that they can actually answer the questions of going forward? Or
they could do. I mean, they've done it before where they've pulled it out, where they have kind of managed to put it back. But it just seems, it may well be that they're just trying to set things up for a full year of content, of episodic content. Okay, fine, great. But at the moment, it doesn't quite feel like if you took this by itself, it doesn't quite feel like it's nailed that satisfying landing. It's still a very good game. It's still very enjoyable, but if you're kind of a real Destiny fanboy as I am, does it have enough of
Are you?
that? Yeah, I am. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps I was perhaps I had unrealistic expectations.
See,
I don't know.
But that in itself creates a problem, because I thought going into this that a problem that Destiny's made it for itself in the way that it's developed as a game is they must be having slightly diminishing returns, because they are catering to a ever decreasing audience. Because I don't think these new expansions necessarily lend themselves to pulling in new players. Like, I really liked the look of this. And I was like, that's cool.
This one.
But then I was like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what I would have to buy and how much money I would have to spend. I tried to look at the different things. I was like, I don't know what I need to buy to even play this expansion this time, kind of thing. You know,
I think you
and
buy
if they're
like
not
a
catering
full
to
package,
the hardcore audience, well, that seems even worse, kind of thing. I mean, like, that seems like a problem.
The problem I found, because I was a fan of Destiny. I mean, I love Destiny, and then when Destiny 2 came out, I really got into it, and then the first couple of expansions kind of soured my taste a bit. I didn't really get along with the story and what have you. I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. And then I think it was about the time that they killed off Cade. And I went, okay, I'm not getting along with this. I'm going to come back to it. And then at some point, Bungie went, hey, we're going to make sure you can't play a bunch of the expansions you paid for.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I did eventually come back to it just to kind of test it, see how it was doing these days. And, installed it on the PS5. It ran really well. And I liked that if you're a new player, they kind of go... They kind of rewrote the entry to the game to welcome new players and sort of go, hey, a bunch of stuff happened, but let's not dwell too much on that. This guy died. We got a new guy. Don't worry about him. Like, they do that, which is cool if you're a new player jumping in. But at the same time, I was in the middle of a story that I meant to come back to. And then when I tried, they went, yeah, you can't play that, fella.
Yeah, and I, although they do a kind of a very condensed last time on Destiny bit right at the beginning, it's going to be very confusing for brand new players. And I think the problem is with any game, a bit like World of Warcraft, any game like this is going to be challenging for new people to get into if you haven't been there since day one.
But then I've always liked the game, and I've always appreciated the quality of the combat. For me, I had a problem... Even in the original Destiny, I had a problem supporting their business model and not feeling like their business model supported me as a player. You've obviously spent a lot more time and money on it, and it sounds like you're not entirely happy with the result that they've come up with so far. But as I said, I hope for you at least that they can pull all those threads together and stick the landing with the last year of...
pull those strands together, mate.
Pull those strands together is what I should have said. But pull all those loose strands together and actually stick the landing and then give you a satisfying result based on, the fact that you do love this game and hopefully it ties things together nicely for you and you feel better as a result of supporting it over all these years.
And to me, it's not a bad game. I just could have been... Well, it's not a bad expansion per se, because there's a lot good with it, but it could have been so much better. And I think that's probably how I would describe it. There we go.
With the new subclass, does that make Destiny a strand game? Like the term that Kojima started trying to get out there.
Oh, that's a Kojima thing.
Strand game.
Well, it's a game with strand in it. Doesn't make it a strand game.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. So there we go. But anyway, so I'm gonna over the course of next week, I shall try and sink a bit more time into, because I've just kind of really mainlined the campaign. So I will report back with some further thoughts on things, and there may well be things to discover that change my mind, or things that get kind of slowly drip fed to us. We'll see.
The raids are normally a highlight for most players, including yourself. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, exactly. So that's coming next Saturday, Friday, March 10th, I believe. So...
Right. we have got news, but we don't have enough time to cover the news. So this is going to be the super quickest version of the news. And I have to start with a ones to watch update.
Okay. Ooh. Hit me with it.
I've got a feeling, I've been denying it for so long.
Yes.
I think the Coleman curse might be a thing.
Oh, no.
Excellent. What's getting cancelled now?
Telltale's The Wolf Among Us 2 has been delayed to 2024.
Yay! Yay! Well done, Coleman. Woo!
They need more time to work on the game, and they've decided to port the game to stop development on Unreal Engine 4 and move that across to Unreal Engine 5.
Well, that sounds sensible.
Decimator of release schedules.
Not happy. I was looking forward to that.
Oh.
Wow. Inverse Midas touch.
Everything I touch turns to delays. Delays. Right, we got Mortal Kombat 12 has been announced, and not through some cool, glitzy, big showcase reveal or anything like that, or maybe stick it on the end of Evo. Nope, it was in a boring earnings call where Warner Brothers Interactive wanted to squeeze some more money out of investors and went, we've got new entry into Mortal Kombat coming out, Mortal Kombat 12, which is coming out this year in 2023. On one hand, I'm annoyed we didn't get a cool reveal to find out, but on the other hand, we have another really cool looking fighting game, really cool fighting game that will come out this year. So we're eating good with Tekken and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
All the big three coming out this year. That's cool. If you remember Deck 13's new game, Atlas Fallen, which was shown off at Gamescom, I think it was unveiled last year, which we got a cinematic trailer for and has done very well in preview. And I don't think we've actually seen any gameplay for it at all, because I looked around and all I could find was that original cinematic trailer. But it's got a release date. It's going to come out on May the 16th, PS5, Xboxes, and PC. So look out for that one. Hopefully we get to see what that looks like soon. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Tree, which is a new expansion that is in development now.
Tree.
That got announced, I think the day after the year anniversary of Elden Ring coming out, and just on the back of yet another Game of the Year award given to it at the DICE Awards. So well done from Software. But yes, that's in development now. No release date announced yet, but we do know there is an expansion coming. So you've got
that seemed like
to
an
finish
odd
the game,
announcement,
Tim.
though, no? Like you've been working. It's a year since the game, and you're announcing that DLC is in development. Everyone knew DLC was in development. Like there was pretty much no doubt about that. So it seems.
I mean, saying that though, the Dark Souls games didn't really have DLC, did they?
Bloodborne had an expansion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bloodborne did, but
it was particularly funny to me because I think this news came out about a day or two after I saw an article go up about Elden Ring has done so well throwing in always online garbage and selling you DLC and all this kind of, and then like a couple of days later they went, here's the DLC.
Anyone wants the DLC? Look what I found around the back of the shed.
Which, yes, it's not as egregious as versions that have come out. But look, for instance, I'm very looking forward to 2K23, WWE 2K23 that's coming out next month. And they've not even released the game, and they're already hyping up the DLC expansion pass and stuff for that. And I hate when they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's much more reserved from Software. Shinji Mikami, he is set to leave Tango Works at some point this year, which means that's going to end his 13 years run, which is even more surprising as he founded the company. If you don't know,
he is going out on a high, though.
Yes. Shinji Mikami, originally kind of the father of survival horror in the video games industry, since moved over to the very bright and colorful Hi-Fi Rush, and and now he's getting ready to leave. And they haven't announced why. They don't say he's stepping away to do anything or leaving the industry or anything like that. It was just a very kind of we have to say he's leaving. We just don't know why.
Do you think he's a bit annoyed that his horror games didn't do as well as Hi-Fi Rush was received? And he's like, right, fine, you're better off without me then. I'll be going then. I'm leaving. It just seems odd.
I'm wondering if it's got something to do with an acquisition that happened with Bethesda, and maybe he's come to the end of that contract term. I don't know.
Okay,
who knows?
That could be it. Yeah, that timing wise,
I'm spitballing here.
We are totally making this nonsense up.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to be careful because the last time we wished someone well after they stepped back from a company, it turned out that they might have been a horrible abuser. So let's.
Yeah, reserve judgment on
If
that
we're
one
not
for
given
now.
a reason as to why they're leaving, I don't want to start speculating nice things
All right.
about them.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Forspoken Developer, Luminous Productions, they are going to be absorbed back into Square Enix, unfortunately. But they
And
have
that's
said,
the noise they'll make as they get absorbed as well.
yeah. So that's as of May the 1st, they are going to be brought back in, and they
What? Why? Why? Is it just because they can't be trusted by themselves? Is that the general?
I guess
general
Forspoken did
narrative
not sell
here?
well. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's that Forspoken wasn't
Yeah.
received as well as they expected, didn't sell as well. There was the whole thing with the demo and the backlash because of that. But they have said that they are on track with the DLC called In Tanda We Trust for Forspoken. They are still bringing it out. They are still supporting the game. It's just that the studio is now just Square Enix again.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So the Sony State of Play, we were planning to cover this in a lot more detail than we are now, but because of time, we have to skip. But I will say there was a couple of highlights in there. We got 5 different PlayStation VR titles that were announced. Nothing particularly interesting to me, but probably to Tim, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Foglands,
Don't
just very
start
quickly,
him
I'll
off.
say Foglands looked really intriguing.
Oh, God.
Synapse looked brilliant, and I really trust End Dreams to make a good game, and it seems like they put a good formula together. And Before Your Eyes was the only one of the list that I knew about already and knows that's coming this month. But that actually turned me on to it. I'm actually more interested in that than I was from what I'd seen of it so far. So yeah, I was really happy with that lineup of games. Like 5 interesting games. Only one of them had leaked beforehand, and 3 of them I'd never heard of before. So yeah, and Foundation sounds cool as well because I quite like the. That was on Apple TV as well. I think they were giving a lot of plugs to Apple TV this week.
Yes.
But the TV series for that was really
Adaptation
cool.
of an Isaac Asimov book.
Yeah. I've never read the book, but the setup for the game looks really
really good book.
intriguing as well. So yeah, I was really pleased with that as a lineup of 5 games. That was quite cool.
I love that story.
Right. So a couple of ones that I
I missed the
highlighted.
soundboard being broken.
A couple of ones that I liked the sound of. So Humanity, which we saw announced previously, which a lot of people are reporting, and I even pulled this from PlayStation's blog, but this has been announced as a brand new title being revealed. And it's like, it wasn't revealed. We saw this before.
we knew about it before.
But Tetris Effect developers, also developers of
Enhanced,
Res Infinite, I think.
yeah.
Enhanced Edition. So Humanity, it looks a very weird kind of Tetris-y, but people, and you make your own levels, and you're a
A bit
dog.
Lemmings-like
And
as well.
I like,
Of course you are.
yeah, sorry, a bit Lemmings-y. I like the look of that.
There's a demo out, and I was just going to say because it's worth downloading because it's a limited time demo, so it won't be out for very long. I've downloaded it, haven't played it yet, but it's also a demo for PSVR 2, which is why I'm
Well done.
particularly interested in it. But yeah, there's a general demo out on the PlayStation Store, so download that.
Oh.
Listeners, can we have
Oh.
a suggestion of a drop for VR talk? Because it can't just always be,
Boring.
need something new. Tron noise. or
My
something.
eyes!
My eyes, the goggles, they do nothing.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
I'm
one
getting
you
that
need.
one. Thank you,
There
Dan.
we go. So that's sorted.
Also, we got reveal of 3 new characters, which I think
Oh,
are the
yeah, we
last
did.
of the starting roster for Street Fighter 6. We got Cammy wearing trousers, which seems to have gone down very well.
What?
Zangief and his cool hairy chest, and a new character, completely forgotten the name of, but girl who talks to animals, as far as I could make
Oh
out.
yeah, she looked quite cool and interesting, and yeah, said something. Didn't she say something about like the wind or something? I can't remember, but yeah, she looked
What?
like she could play quite well. I really just like the fact that
Well,
Cammy
she
was there
blamed it
because
on the animals?
she's my
Oh, that
main,
was
and
the
we
cat.
hadn't seen anything from her yet. She looked cool. She's got that nice Union Jack jacket on, so really amplifying her Britishness as well. But yeah, like this could have been a tailor-made state of play for me. A lot of people were saying bad things about it, but I quite liked this. They could have couldn't have done much better than announcing a load of cool VR games and my main Street Fighter character and a few other cool things. So yeah, I quite liked it overall. But hey,
Aren't you a lucky little sausage?
the one that I was super looking forward to, which not so much. The rumors that were originally leaked on 4chan were correct. The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is in fact a looter shooter. 4-player, multiplayer, online. Bungie's got a lot to answer for about the state of gaming these days.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have to see how it is when it comes out, but I am less enthralled with this.
Yes, I think they need to do a lot more to get people on board, and I don't think this
But
helps.
taking all these individual characters and going, right, they traverse in different ways, but otherwise they all use the same weapons. And how boring.
That doesn't make any sense. And also, like, the other thing that got a lot of traction this week was a lot of negative comments and traction was the fact that they announced that it does require an always online connection, even if you're playing single player. And I think that's just going to turn a lot of people off. I really hope this game isn't dead on arrival because of a number of stupid decisions made by higher ups. I love Rocksteady. I really want to see them do well, but when they've invested a number of years into developing this and they've made some really odd decisions, which I'm half guessing weren't made by them, have been enforced upon them possibly, I'm really worried about this game and the negative the negative groundswell that it seems to be getting behind it, that I think a lot of people just won't pick this up, even if it's a really good game. And I'm really worried for it. I hope that doesn't become the case, because I'd love Rocksteady and I want to see him do well. But yeah, worried about it now.
Yeah, I will say this is most likely going to be one that I don't rely on reviews for. I rely on word of mouth from people actually bought and played the game to see how well it performs. Much like I did with Gotham Knights. But yeah, state of play. It wasn't a huge amount. I forgot to... Yeah, I did, but I bought it super cheap. I cancelled my 70 quid pre-order for PlayStation because of the frame rate thing, and I bought it for like 30 on the PC. So I think I made out okay on that deal. It was less of a sting. I will say Baldur's Gate 3, which that's going out of early access in August, 31st of August, but at the same time, that is also coming to PlayStation 5. Apparently, there's no exclusivity deal. This is meant to come to Xbox Series X, but the issue being, by a lot of the rumors, is that the parity needed from Microsoft for it to work on the Xbox Series S is slowing development on that port because it is causing issue. I'm wondering how many more problems are going to be caused by the X. This is the year I upgrade to an X, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I might have to do the same as well.
Although I'm playing more PC stuff lately.
Yeah.
We had a Pokémon Presents, and I did not find absolutely anything interesting in this at all. It's all it's either card game stuff, it is mobile game stuff, when I don't think the mobile game stuff is very good. There is a stop motion animation series coming to Netflix, which I think is
because of course.
I think that's being geared towards
is it
a much
be like creature
younger.
Comforts?
I think it's more like
I kind of quite like that. That picture you.
What Pokemon complaining about turning the gas fire on and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think it's more like Marcel the Snail with shoes on, or whatever it's called. It's geared to like a much younger audience than the normal kind of Pokemon animated series. And also there is new. Well, the big news was that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are getting the expansions.
Pokemon Violent.
Pokemon Violent. That is getting the expansion passes. One is going to launch the fall of 2023 and the other winter 2023. And I don't think that is big news because the game still doesn't perform too well. And as much as I was enjoying it, I just had to stop playing it because now I have a Steam Deck and it performs much nicer. And I haven't touched my Switch since I've been playing the Steam Deck full time. So unfortunate. But also Pokemon Sleep, which was announced ages ago, put on ice, and is now being...
I remember that.
Yeah,
the sleep tracking nonsense.
It's so stupid. I don't know why anyone would be excited for this, but it's a sleep tracking app for your phone, which teaches you how to sleep like different Pokemon sleep, whether that be on your back or in a starfish position. Honestly, I don't know what the point of this is. But also, they've announced alongside this, there's going to be a Pokemon Go Plus device. So if you remember,
Right.
they launched like a little Pokeball for Pokemon Go, and you'd pretend to throw it, and you could use it with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee on the Switch as well. And I think if you walked around, it would automatically catch wild Pokemon for you in Pokemon Go. This new version has some kind of parity with the sleep tracking for Pokemon Sleep as well. And pre-orders went up and have immediately sold out. And I don't understand why. I don't know what's going on with the world. I haven't understood Pokemon in so long, and I keep trying to get back into it. And I start to enjoy a game, and then they break the game, and I don't know what to do anymore.
Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
A reason why you might not understand. Remind me how old you are.
Nearly 40.
Okay. And Pokemon. All right. So all I'm going to say, it might be that you are no longer down with the kids.
It could be the thing, Coleman. It happened to us. It will happen to you.
Yeah. I haven't played a new game since Destiny came out. That's how stuck in my ways I am, mate.
No one told me there was going to be boasting.
Is this your roundabout way of telling me I need to move on from Pokemon to Destiny?
On the bright side, as you get older, you will become more of a fan of the mid-afternoon nap, which means Pokemon Sleep might be the game
2 sleeps
for you.
per day, Coleman.
You can have a cheeky little afternoon nap.
All I want is a mainline Pokemon game that I can play and works. You know, none of this
Pokemon Sleep.
Windmills in the background going nuts.
Pokemon
exactly.
Sleep. Dude, seriously, it's where it is. You're going to be the new hotness for you, I guarantee.
Well,
Pokemon Sleep.
I mean, like they finally made the Pokemon game I want in Arceus, but they're like one hand they give, one hand they take, and there was a whole thing of like they finally made it a third-person open world game that it's about Pokemon, but you've changed the rules of Pokemon and it doesn't perform particularly well. And then they go, okay, well, here's a regular story-based Pokemon game that you want to play that has the systems that you want and is open world as well, and it performs even worse. So I like the game. I don't like all the other stuff, and I don't like the technical limitations.
You sound like you're a heartbeat away from writing a letter to Points of View. I'm just going to put that out there, all right? And another problem with the kids nowadays and their Pokemons.
But Game Freak will continue to make broken Pokemon games because they sold really well.
Yeah.
Are they broken, though?
Well, yeah, the first one was broken.
Yeah.
When I reviewed that game, I said it's broken, but it works well enough to play on a handheld. And I completely agree with that. I hated putting it in the dock because it looked like arse. I would rather I could play a game that doesn't have these technical limitations and there is a new hardware that is needed. However, I don't think the hardware is the main line issue here because there are more impressive looking games that do more than those two Pokemon games did available on the Switch.
On the bright side, at least it's not getting to you. That's the main thing.
I think the issue is trying to make a mainline. Well, not only are they making a mainline Pokemon every year, but they tried to make 2 one year. They were right. We're going to make 2 different versions of Pokemon now, and we're going to release them in the same year. I think it's just trying to keep to a schedule is causing issue.
Yeah, fair enough. We need to be wrapping this bad boy up, I think.
Yeah,
That's
we're going to skip
probably the way
questions this week.
Oh,
sorry.
I had a good answer for
my
the first question as well, but hey.
Well, save it for next week. But I will say, if you have enjoyed this show, then you are a flipping weirdo. But God love you. God help you. We love you. Thank you for listening. You can get in contact with us on bigredbarrel.com. We have a comment section there. We have a link to our Discord. We have Facebook and Twitter at Big Red Barrel, and we have a YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. And of course, all the links to those resources are available in our show notes of this here episode. So however you're listening, have a look at the description. There will be links to each of the ways you can get in contact with us. And while you're there, you can ask us questions, you can give us feedback, you can do whatever you want. And also, if you can give us a review in any way, shape, or form on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be great. We do tend to read the reviews out on the show if we particularly like them. So, yeah, please go and do that.
Damn straight. But, Tim, there's one thing you need to do before we disappear out of here.
Yep.
Wash your hands.
Of course. Yeah, wash your hands, because we know you didn't. Obviously, you need to go to tpublic.com/store/BRB is what you need to do first before I let Tim witter on about Tuesday. You can buy wonderful, wonderful merch. Merch is there. It's got we are on several products, and that should be greatly exciting to you. You could wear me on your person.
Yeah, just a note on
There
that
we
as
go.
well. There are sales this month scheduled for the 8th to the 11th of March and the 23rd to the 26th of March. There will be 35% off during those times, so that is a good time to buy things. I'm not saying don't buy them now, because you can if you want to, but that might be a good time to buy if you're looking for a bargain.
The little kickback we get from the t-shirts will be even less.
We'll get even less money.
3
but
pence
you
on
get
every
something
t-shirt
for a better
sold.
price.
We're not in
Never
it for
has
the
my
money.
face been so cheap.
Yep.
I bet you say
You
that to
can
all the
also
girls.
buy yourself
I
a
do.
Tabletop Tuesday t-shirt there. And what is Tabletop Tuesday, I hear you ask?
Wait, what?
Well,
What is Tabletop
Tuesday
Tuesday,
is an
Tim?
event that we do every Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke,
No.
Newington. There are I think there's some problems with buses here and there, but they should be cleared up for next week. Generally, you can access the thing after the whole building collapse and stuff like that. But we are back. We're actually doing a redo of another game that we had a couple of weeks ago because everyone that got entered into the competition left before we did the prize draw. So we've got Forbidden Island will be our feature game again this week. It's a good game. I actually got to play it last week, week before last as well. We had a really good crowd there last week. We got a party of 20 people that will be coming once a month from now on to Tabletop Tuesday. So that's probably going to up the amount of people that we have coming to Tabletop Tuesdays in future as well. But we had a good crowd of 45, 50 people there this week. And it was a really nice atmosphere. So, do come along to Tabletop Tuesday. You can win a game just by playing it on the evening. We have a new feature game every week. This week's feature game is Forbidden Island. There are more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel, or you can search for Tabletop Tuesdays and join the over 2,000 people in our meetup group on meetup.com.
Good.
All of those things, do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new one.
Oh, how do
I will say very quickly, I forgot to mention this in the socials stuff, and sorry for dragging the show out, but if you go to our Discord, I did a weird experiment that I put in the BRB chat room where after editing the show and putting it out as normal, I got bored on the weekend and basically got AI to try and do it. And put not too dissimilar from the finished version that I did. However, it's a really weird program where instead of editing the audio, it takes the audio and goes, let me try and recreate that, but add to it to make it sound like it's in a studio. So I did that for a bit of fun. And I think it's like 7 seconds longer than my edited version, but it's there. So there is a robot Dan and a robot Tim, and it might be the future one day of editing and enhancing audio.
So,
and
like,
stuff.
if one of us has to bin off for the week, you can just set
Not
robot
quite
AI
like
version.
not quite like that, because you still had to give it an audio file to be talking to try and replicate. But I'm saying it's not right. It's probably not for use right now, but one day in the future, I could see this kind of technology being used to enhance audio. I think it sounds a bit crap at the moment personally, but it's a cool concept, and I've seen it work elsewhere and does do cool things. Like if you people have taken like Winston Churchill speeches and fed it in there, and it's taken away all the crowd noise and scratchy records and stuff, and brought it into quite a reasonable way. So it's
yes, because he loved
scratching
the wheels,
records.
did Winston. Yo, yo, yo.
I meant like
it's your boy Winston
vinyl
Churchill.
pop, that kind of stuff.
What is going on? It is your boy Winnie from the block.
We will fight them on the lands. We will fight them on the beaches. Yo, 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 it's your boy.
It's your boy Winnie from the block.
I can't find the horns. Oh dear, I've lost them.
You've lost the horns.
Right, that's it.
Oh, there you go. Yo, yo, it's your boy.
Winnie Churchill.
Victory.
Why are
I
you
wrote
close to your Boris Johnson impression?
Thank you. Yo, yo,
Yeah.
it's your boy.
Also reusable as Michael McIntyre. You can use
360
Michael McIntyre
no
as
scope. Headshot, baby. Yes, but anyway, along with the whole thing about the AI, I did write a thing about like the technologies and stuff that we play around with behind the scenes, trying to improve the show and what have you. So it's not a thing I was looking at to go, let's skip a bunch of steps. It's just I'm always playing around with stuff to try and benefit the show, and that was one of them. And it was just interesting to hear Robo, Dan, and Tim.
Yes.
Oh.
But Robo Chaos cannot be made, of course. You can't make Robo Chaos.
No.
Oh, sorry. I've just remembered as well. I do have one example where it tried to recreate a popular sound clip we have.
My name's Daniel. I'm 14 years old. I burned Chrising up in the first round, and the rest of you are going to be left eating my dust.
Sounds so weird, doesn't it?
My name's Daniel.
No,
That's the regular one.
You don't. Both are terrible.
It's so weird because you sound so young, but it's like it's a weird kind of echo behind you of the original, and then it sounds like you're right up to a high quality camera. My name was Daniel.
There we go. Anyway, we are going to stop.
Yes,
we are stopping now.
Sorry for dragging that out.
Thank you ever so much for listening, ladies, gents, and in fact, everybody. Everybody, thank you, I say. Everybody. So we'll be back next week in some shape or form. I'll probably have more musings on Destiny. Tim's going to go into tell you all about his favourite icon on a VR game this week. Doubtless other such fun facts will be given, and Coleman's going to be very sad about cursing more games.
I got
So all of
sent
those
a
things.
game for next week, actually. I'm looking forward
Did
to
you?
it. I hope I have time to play it.
Lords of mercy. So that's your lot. Thanks ever so much for downloading us. All that really remains for us to do is to remind you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
I've been AI-generated chaos.
Yes, indeed you have. So, we'll be back next week. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
の水が甘かのが茶の蜜がうまかのがされても生まれて何をされても揺るがぬ純情曰く上とどんとこい俺は一途侍
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
This will be my finest banger.
Obviously, Tim,
Yes.
it's PSVR 2 week.
Woohoo!
But I don't mind so much because
Okay.
I get my revenge next week when it's Destiny 2 Lightfall. So, I'm
did I
going to
not
be
tell you
as
that I'm
good-
off next week?